Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine stepping into a classroom where AI isn't just some abstract idea, but actual tools woven right into the learning platform. We're taking a deep dive into exactly that today, looking at Singapore Student Learning Space, or SLS, and the specific ways artificial intelligence is being implemented there.
Right.
They've got a stack of sources detailing these features, how they work, and crucially, the lines they can't cross, their limitations, and the absolutely essential role of the teacher.
And our mission in this deep dive really is to cut through the hype and pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from these sources for you.
Yeah.
What does this real-world case study tell us about AI in the classroom right now? How is it designed to enhance learning and teaching? What do these tools actually do?
And where does the human element remain, well, not just important, but indispensable? Get ready for some surprising facts and insights. Stuff that paints a picture of education's evolving landscape. So let's jump right in with the big picture. Singapore's Student Learning Space, SLS, that's the platform where all this is happening.
That's right. According to the source material we looked at, the AI features built into SLS have three main goals: promoting personalized learning for students, encouraging them towards more self-directed learning, and creating more efficient feedback mechanisms for everyone involved, teachers and students.
So when you hear AI in education, those goals sound like the dream, don't they? Tailoring lessons, students taking initiative, teachers may be buried under less grading.
Absolutely. But what's immediately fascinating looking at these sources is that they don't just sell the promise. They immediately introduce the practical reality.
Which is?
Well, the materials is very clear. While these features offer tremendous potential, they come with significant limitations, risks even. They aren't set it and forget its tools.
Right, not plug and play.
Not at all. This technology absolutely demands careful implementation and, more than anything, ongoing teacher oversight.
Teacher oversight, yeah, that seems key.
It is. And this tension, the powerful potential of AI running right up against the undeniable necessity of the human educator, that's the thread running through everything these sources describe.
That makes perfect sense. It's not just about listing capabilities, it's about understanding the boundaries.
Precisely.
So let's explore that. Let's look at some of the specific tools mentioned in the sources and what they reveal about this dynamic. Maybe start with those aimed at helping students directly, like the Adaptive Learning System, or ALS. What does that do?
Okay, ALS. It's designed specifically to promote personalized learning. So based on how a student interacts and performs, it delivers tailored learning pathways, it adjusts the difficulty, recommends specific resources or questions, and gives immediate feedback.
Okay, that sounds like the classic vision of adaptive tech. What's the nugget of insight the sources reveal about its current reality?
Well, one insight is about scope. It's not everywhere yet. ALS is currently limited to specific subjects: maths for upper primary and lower secondary, and geography for upper secondary.
No, okay, not universal.
Not yet. And another key insight, one we'll probably see again, is about the feedback. While it's automated and immediate, the sources really emphasize that teachers must vet it. They can modify that feedback before it's finalized.
So AI generated, but human approved.
Exactly. The AI suggests a path and feedback, but the teacher is the quality control.
Okay, so the teacher has to step in. What about the learning assistant, LEA? That's described as a student-facing dialogic agent, basically an AI you can chat with about your learning.
Correct. LEA contributes to both personalized and self-directed learning. It guides students through concepts using iterative questioning, kind of like a tutor having a conversation. It pulls timely, contextual responses from curated knowledge bases, so not just the whole internet, and can even take on different recipes or roles to make the interaction more engaging. The goal is reinforcing understanding uniquely for that student.
So it's interactive and tailored. Where do the sources show the need for the human touch here? What are the limitations?
The insights here point towards managing reliance and ensuring appropriateness. Teachers can actually set interaction limits for LEA.
Oh, really? Wow.
To prevent students from becoming overly dependent on it, instead of thinking for themselves. And because it's a generative AI, the output might occasionally not be age appropriate, especially for younger kids. So educators need to use their judgment there.
Makes sense.
Teachers also monitor the conversation logs. Not to police necessarily, but to understand student struggles and spot areas where maybe a human intervention is needed.
Monitoring the interaction logs.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a fascinating window into student thinking that wasn't really easily available before.
It really is.
Okay, let's look at FA Math, the feedback assistant for mathematics.
Right, FA Math. This is another tool that helps with both personalization and efficient feedback, particularly for, well, math problem solving, obviously. It's described as a rules-based engine. It gives students step-by-step hints and feedback as they work through problems, analyzing each step they take.
Step by step.
And it can also generate randomized questions, so students get tailored practice.
A rules-based engine. Okay, what's the insight about its limitations then, if it's based on rules?
The crucial point the sources highlight is that its quality, its relevance, it's entirely dependent on the predefined rules it uses.
Oh, okay. Garbage in, garbage out, potentially.
Sort of, yeah. If the rules aren't comprehensive or accurate, the feedback won't be that helpful. And teachers still need to design the types of questions and actually set up these rules. It automates based on predefined logic, but that logic needs human expertise to create and refine it.
That makes sense. The rules are only as good as the humans who write them. What about the Annotated Feedback Assistant, AFA?
AFA primarily supports efficient feedback and encourages self-directed learning. It allows teachers to embed targeted feedback directly within student responses. They use these things called annotation cards.
Annotation cards.
Yeah, and teachers can customize these cards, maybe using Socratic questions to prompt deeper thinking, or perhaps scaffolded hints to guide revision.
So the personalization and the self-direction aspect, that comes from how the teacher uses the tool.
Precisely. The insight here is all about deliberate design by the teacher. They need to actively customize the feedback content and control the frequency, how often students receive it.
Right.
So it's not just automated annotation. It's a tool that lets teachers apply their pedagogical strategy in a new format, guiding students through that iterative improvement and reflection process.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. There's something that evaluates student output, the speech evaluation tool, SET.
Yes, SET. It's mentioned as a tool contributing to personalized and self-directed learning, specifically for oral skills. It gives students automated feedback on their spoken responses.
Like pronunciation.
Exactly. Pronunciation, fluency, clarity, across different subjects and levels, too.
How does that encourage self-direction?
Well, it allows students to become their own practice partners in a way. They can record themselves, get instant feedback from the AI, identify areas for improvement, re-record, track their progress over time.
Build confidence, maybe?
Yeah, potentially. It empowers them to refine their speaking skills independently.
The sources don't list explicit limitations for SET, do they? But based on the pattern we're seeing.
Well, no, not explicitly stated limitations in the sources we reviewed for SET. But yeah, based on the general insights across all these tools, you'd imagine any automated evaluation tool would likely benefit from or maybe even require human calibration.
To make sure it aligns with, real communication.
Exactly. To ensure the feedback aligns with that nuanced human judgment of communication effectiveness, which is often more than just pronunciation or fluency metrics. While the sources don't state this for SET specifically, the consistent theme suggests the human educator's role in final evaluation, or at least interpretation of such feedback, would remain pretty key.
That broader pattern is definitely emerging. Okay, let's look at some tools that seem aimed more at helping teachers. Managing information and content, maybe? Like the data assistant, DAT.
DAT.
Right.
This is a teacher tool. It indirectly supports personalized learning and efficient feedback by essentially simplifying the analysis of student data.
How so?
Teachers can use it to filter and cluster students based on different criteria: performance, understanding, maybe engagement levels. They can ask the tool custom questions about the data to identify common misconceptions or learning patterns across a whole class.
So the AI crunches the numbers and spots trends for the teacher.
Yes, exactly. It simplifies the analysis and interpretation of what can be really complex student data. It saves teachers significant time compared to doing a manual qualitative review of everything.
There's always a but.
Well, the crucial insight here is that the personalization, the timely intervention, that only happens when the teacher acts on that data. The AI identifies the who and what, like which students are struggling or what the common errors are, but the teacher decides the how and when of the pedagogical response.
Got it. The AI provides the insights, but the teacher provides the intervention strategy.
Precisely.
Okay, what about the authoring Copilot, ACP? This sounds like it helps teachers create lesson materials.
Yes. ACP is presented as a tool for enhancing teaching efficiency. It helps teachers generate customized lesson activities and assessments, supposedly very quickly.
How does it work?
It anchors to a curated knowledge base, like a specific textbook or the syllabus documents. Teachers can input text related to that base, and the tool generates draft lesson components tailored to specific learning outcomes.
That sounds like a massive time saver. Yeah. Generate a lesson plan instantly. But the sources highlight the caveats here, right? There must be limitations.
Absolutely. The sources provide some really crucial insights into the reality of using generative AI for content creation in education. First, its output is probabilistic. Meaning you might not get exactly what you expect or the same thing every time. More importantly, teachers must meticulously check the generated content for accuracy, for appropriateness, for alignment with curriculum goals. It's a first draft, not a final product. Never a final product first time.
Yeah, there was that specific anecdote mentioned in the sources, someone called Madam Wong.
Yes, Madam Wong's experience with ACP, it's a perfect example of the practical limitations. She tried using Chinese text as input. And the tool, at that time anyway, required her to translate her Chinese input into English first for it to process effectively. And even then, she still had to edit and adapt the output significantly afterwards. The sources explicitly mentioned that while it saves some time on the initial drafting, teachers noted, and this is almost a quote, "Time savings are not fully realized as they still need to manually review the machine's feedback."
So the workload shifts.
Exactly. It shifts from pure creation to intensive editing, fact-checking, and refinement.
That anecdote really grounds the discussion in the day-to-day reality of using these tools. It's powerful.
It is.
There's one more tool specifically mentioned for efficiency, the appraiser testimonial generator. Sounds specific.
It does, yeah. This tool is powered by ChatGPT, apparently, and it's designed to streamline writing student testimonials or appraisals. The goal is to generate a polished first draft quickly, significantly reducing that initial drafting time for teachers.
Okay, powered by ChatGPT. That immediately flags some potential issues we've heard about with generative AI generally.
Exactly, and the sources are explicit about this. Because it's generative AI, it's subject to risks like hallucination.
Making stuff up.
Pretty much, yeah. Making up facts or information. And also potential inherent bias that might be present in the training data. The insight here is identical to ACP. Teachers must vet and refine the output rigorously.
For accuracy.
For accuracy, appropriateness, and crucially, to ensure it aligns with their own professional judgment and their nuanced understanding of the student. The AI provides a starting point, maybe a structure, but the teacher is the ultimate author and guarantor of truth and fairness.
So the efficiency gain is real in getting a draft, but it comes with this new critical task of verification.
Absolutely. The workload changes, it doesn't necessarily disappear.
Wow, okay. So looking across all these different tools, ALS, LEA, FA Math, AFA SET, DATA, ACP, the testimonial generator, even though they target different areas like personalization, self-direction, efficiency, there's a remarkably consistent theme in their limitations and requirements.
That's really where we can synthesize the biggest nugget of knowledge, I think, from these sources regarding the teacher's role.
Yeah.
While the aim of AI is often presented as automation, maybe even replacement in some circles,
Yeah, you hear that sometimes.
these sources consistently paint a picture not of the teacher being removed, but of their role being fundamentally transformed, reprioritized even.
It's not about taking the teacher out of the loop. It's about redefining what the loop looks like. Is that fair?
That's a great way to put it. Exactly. The shift highlighted is from the teacher needing to do certain tasks, like initial content creation totally from scratch, or manually marking every single piece of work, to becoming the expert editor, the refiner, the ultimate arbiter of AI-generated outputs.
And the purpose of this shift, according to the sources, is to free up that most valuable resource, the teacher's time and energy,
Right.
for the things AI can't do.
Precisely. It's about enabling teachers to focus on the higher value, more complex pedagogical and relational tasks. You know, understanding the individual student on a deeper level, providing nuanced mentorship, fostering critical thinking through actual human interaction, applying the kind of complex judgment calls that go far beyond algorithms. The core strategy the sources reveal is this concept they call the teacher in the loop, or sometimes teacher over the loop.
That phrase captures it perfectly. The human educator's judgment, their expertise, their presence, they're not just preserved, they're indispensable. They're the essential layer overseeing and guiding the technology.
The AI augments, the teacher educates.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, as you think about AI in education? This deep dive into Singapore's student learning space shows a system actively leveraging specific AI tools to push towards personalized learning, encourage students to take initiative, and make tasks like feedback more efficient.
But what's truly fascinating and is so consistent across the sources is that the effectiveness and safety of these tools rely entirely on the human educator. The AI might generate, suggest, analyze, but the teacher is constantly there vetting, refining, interpreting data, applying that unique professional judgment.
It's less about AI replacing teachers and far more about AI providing powerful new levers that change what teachers focus on, potentially allowing them to spend more time on the uniquely human aspects of education.
Yeah, that seems to be the core message.
This raises an important question for you to consider then. As AI tools in education become even more sophisticated, more integrated into learning environments, how do we ensure that the essential cognitive skills we want students to develop, skills like critical thinking, complex problem solving, creativity, and the invaluable professional judgment and human connection provided by teachers are not just preserved in this shift, but perhaps even enhanced by the strategic use of this technology?